We're live. Oh, hold on. Yep. Okay, we are live.
Okay, Gary, you can call the meeting to order.
Okay, good afternoon. If everyone's ready, we can get started for the Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting for May 4th, 2020 at 1:36 p.m. I believe we have a quorum of 6 members here today, with the 7th member maybe on the way. We'll see. Item number 2, review and take any action related to the minute record of the regular meeting held on Monday, February 3rd, 2020. Has everyone looked over the minutes? And do they have any questions?
Gary, I'm sorry, the agenda should say Monday, March 2nd, the minutes from Monday, March 2nd. Do we have the correct agenda?
Okay, we need to correct that. That's Monday. Yeah, it says it up at the top. It says it up at top, Monday, March 2nd. Okay, item number 2, it's Monday, March 2nd, 2020.
Are you looking at the minutes or the agenda?
Looking at the minutes.
Okay, so we need to look at the agenda.
There it is.
Okay.
I got it. Again. Anyone have any questions on the minutes for Monday, March 2nd, 2020? If no questions, I need to hear a motion to approve. All in favor, raise their hands. I count them all. I see 5 hands. I don't see 6. 1, 2, 3.
You're the 6th, Gary.
Okay, I am counting myself. I see 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm missing 2 on the screen here, but.
Okay, I've got 5 showing on the screen, and then you were 6, so I show 6 hands.
I saw hands. Do I hear any nays? No nays, so we'll move on. So item number 3, ZBA 20-14, 422/432 North Bell Street, the Bar Athletic Club, single member district number 3, Harry Thomas. A request.
Yes. And Gary, if you will give just a second for Tommy to get in.
Jeff, please also get your screen ready for the PowerPoint. We are on the agenda item. You're muted, Jeff.
Okay, and Tommy is now with us.
So Tommy is the applicant for this case, so Jeff will present.
Are we ready to continue?
Yes, sir.
I'll start over the reading. ZBA 20-14, 422/432 North Bell Street, the Bar Athletic Club, single member district number 3, Harry Thomas, the councilman. A request for approval of a variance from section 511.1 of the zoning ordinance to allow a 2-way maneuvering area of 4 feet in lieu of the required 20 feet for 45-degree parking facing North Bell Street for properties located at 422 and 432 North Bell Street. And staff will be, who's going to be, is Jeff going to be doing the presentation? Hello, Jeff.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon.
today, ZBA 20. This is a variance to allow two-lane ring for 45-degree parking facing North Bell Street in lieu of 4 feet, or excuse me, in lieu of 20 feet on 0.33 acres. It's in Harry Thomas's.
Jeff, we're not seeing your shared screen.
Can they see us?
Jason
Guys.
Fernandez has arrived, so we have 7 board members.
All right, can you guys see this?
I can see you.
Okay,
We can't see your shared screen though. Your PowerPoint is not popping up.
okay, one moment.
There you are. Hello.
Okay, that should work now. Okay. Just gonna pull back up here just for a moment. Bear with me. So the current parking along North Bell Street, along the front of it, the city had finished the Bell Street improvement project. And so some that need to be patched will be patched up in those areas. So that's the good news on that area is here. One of the conditions for the revised parking lot is that the applicant repair those. This is looking south towards the bar, and this is looking on the north side. There's also 7 parking spaces on the north, which don't have any maneuvering area at all and would directly back out onto the street. So we will put in a condition that they, this street side, not for this north side on Upton, we don't want them to utilize these parking spaces here. So just to recap, 4 feet on private property, kind of where this vehicle is, and then another 20 feet in the public right of way, they will have to also utilize that. But since the maneuvering in the zoning ordinance only counts as what's on private property, allowing 4 feet on private property, and then when they take the maneuvering area to the curb, they actually have the 20 feet that's required. And these are the 2 potholes that they'll have to fix. So this is a better example of it with our site plan. The existing 4 feet maneuvering area goes to the property line, and then they have another 22 feet of maneuvering in here, and they need another 18. So they have enough room if they count this area in here. Their revised plan will be angled parking, and that's how they're able to get more maneuvering. So this plan is just a concept plan. They'll have to submit a final plan that takes
I'm really sorry, guys. Jeff's been having problems with his internet all day, so he freezes up a little bit. If we need to, Ray, I have his PowerPoint up on my screen, so I'd be able to finish if I need to.
Do you want me to go ahead and stop sharing his screen?
Yeah, if you want to, just go ahead and stop sharing it. And if he needs to interject, I can finish, and then he can comment on that. Okay, so if everyone can see this again, Jeff was talking about, they have a little bit of property here on the site that they can use for parking and a little bit of maneuvering, but the majority of the maneuvering area will be within the right of way. This was an old picture with the existing, with the Bell Street as it was. They've reconstructed it. So it's general commercial, heavy commercial. 13 notices were sent out. We did not receive any in opposition or support. These are the pictures he was going over. So it kind of gives you a better idea of the parking and maneuvering. The car there will show you some scale. This was an old pawn shop that was being used. The contractor for Bell Street will fix the stuff that they have torn up. Again, Jeff was referencing the applicant will be in charge of fixing the stuff that was not done as part of the Bell Street project. So there'll be 2 spots they have to pick up, but the damage the contractor did will be fixed by the contractor at that time. So again, they have an existing 4 feet. They needed 20 for the angled parking, so they'll have more than that out here. Staff is recommending the no parking simply because they would have to back directly out onto Upton, which is a little dangerous. So they have plenty of parking up here in front, so this would not be required. The variances are allowed under 3 conditions: special circumstances, overriding public interest, and literal enforcement. The property is landlocked. It's an existing developed property, so there's not really space to move a building and add parking. So at this point, we're kind of working with what we got, and the existing parking lot and building have existed for about 50 years. The other one would be overriding public interest or literal enforcement. Special circumstance category: the existing buildings consume most of the lot and must use Bell Street maneuvering in order to gain access to the parking lot. Again, this is an existing situation that we're trying to make the best of, and the applicant has really worked well with us. The buildings, the parking lot have existed in the same configuration since at least 1972. That was the first aerial footage we could see. So very long-standing building. Literal interpretation would leave no parking options for the applicant. Other businesses would benefit from full maneuvering areas, or if they had started from the beginning, they would be able to go if they had started the whole thing. No other variances are required. Combining the maneuvering area from the private property as well as the public property will achieve the adequate maneuvering area. We believe there to be no adverse impact on the adjacent properties. Again, we're going to have more than is required, and the parking is consistent with the zoning ordinance, allowing for the maneuvering in the right of way. Is recommending approval from section 511.1 of the zoning ordinance to allow 2-way maneuvering area of 4 feet in lieu of the required 20. Again, this is a variance to allow 4 feet, but they will have the 20 once they utilize the right of way. For 45-degree parking facing North Bell Street for the subject property, subject to 2 conditions of approval. 1, the applicant shall obtain a change of occupancy permit and any other permits from the building permits and inspections division. They're actually in the process of that. The applicant can probably speak to that, but he's been working with our building permits department to get that taken care of. And then the applicant shall place no parking signs along the building facing Upton. Again, had there been any maneuvering between the parking and Upton, staff may have looked at that a little differently, but it is parking and Upton. So to get out of those parking spaces, you'd have to back up into the street, which could cause problems down the road. So that is staff's recommendation. Does anyone have any questions? I'm going to stop sharing the screen so we can have a better discussion. Does anyone have any questions for me or Jeff if he's back on yet?
I don't hear any. Hillary,
Okay.
do we have any public comment?
Tommy, if you would like to unmute and say anything, if you have any comments to the board from your applicant point of view, this is the time.
Hello, I'm Tommy. I just would like to get some approved parking, and this way I'm doing everything by the book and I can contribute to society. I guess that's it.
Thank you.
Any board members have any questions for Tommy?
Debbie,
None being made.
wait, Debbie had a question. Debbie, you may have to click
Sorry,
the
Debbie.
unmute button because the space bar does not seem to be working for me. There you go.
Okay, my question is about the parking that's going to be not allowed on the side. Is it going to be actually marked no parking? Or is it just not going to be marked with parking?
They are required to have no parking signs. And so I think Tommy does understand that. So there will be no signs that say no parking on this side of the building. He can utilize that space for probably other things, maybe even some outdoor workouts, but there will be no parking on that side of the building.
Any more board comments or questions? I have none. I don't hear of any. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I second.
There's a motion to approve in a second. I'm gonna vote. All in favor, say aye and raise their hand. Aye. Any nays? Don't hear any nays, so Passes 7-0. Thank you, Tommy, and good luck. Next item. Item number 4, ZBA 20-15 Hicks, single member district number 4, Lucy Gonzalez. A request for approval of a variance from section 511.d of the zoning ordinance to allow for 0 parking spaces in lieu of the required 2 spaces per unit required for homes in the single family residence RS1 zoning district located at 45 East 21st Street. And it'll be, staff will be presenting. Who's going to be presenting?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Sherry Bailey, Principal Planner.
Hi, Sherry.
Hi. The request before you today is a variance to allow 0 parking spaces in an RS1 zone, as you indicated. And normally what is required is 2 spaces. In this case, the applicant is coming to us because the building that they are leasing out, they're a rental agency, they entered into a contract with a gentleman to remodel the house and to turn the single car garage into a 2nd bedroom. They were under the understanding that that contractor was going to get the building permit. He did not. And so when the city put a stop work order on them and they came in, they were made aware of the fact that they had to now provide 2 parking spaces on the lot. And because of the situation of where the house is located, they are requesting a variance for 0 parking spaces. The house, as you can see from this screen, is 13 feet from the property line, but it's another 35 or 36 feet from the actual curb line for right-of-way line. This is in District 4, Lucy Gonzalez's district, and the neighborhood is the Reagan neighborhood. I took these 2 pictures because the one on the left is the very small house, and you can see now where the garage on the right was converted and the kind of drive, more or less, where past residents of the house had parked their vehicle. If you look on the right, the picture I took shows the 2 houses to the east of the applicant's house. And every house on this block across the street and in the block to the east were all built at 13 to 15 feet from the property line. And so every single one of the houses there are utilizing the right-of-way area as a parking area in their driveway. We sent out 22 notifications. I received 0 in support. When I went through the mail on Saturday, we had received late Friday 3 objections, and I've got those marked on the map, and you can see they are the 2 properties on the same side of the street to the west, and then 1 across the street. In all 3 cases, those objections stated that the reason they were objecting was because whenever it rains, the parking area for that house becomes a big mud puddle. And when people back out, they take the mud into the street. Staff believes that with our recommendation, we will be able to address that issue. There are 3 allowed variances, as you know, that one of them must be selected. In this case, they are special circumstances resulting in an unnecessary hardship, overriding public interest, and literal enforcement. The applicant believes that special circumstances apply in this case because the house was built in 1959. It matched the rest of the houses on both blocks. They were all very close to the their front yard property lines. They all have a really large right of way in that area. There's actually 100-foot right of way. And all of the places in the area are utilizing that space as a parking area. When we looked at this from all of the elements in which we must analyze the request, we looked at all of the circumstances associated with this particular house in this particular areas. And we've already mentioned that the other homes are within that 13 to 15 foot from their property line space. All of the other houses that I was able to see all had detached garages. This small house is the only one that had a single car garage that was attached to the house. And when they converted that, they took away any space for putting parking on either side of the house or a driveway through to the house. The lots themselves are fairly deep, and there's 100-foot from the alley to the house. And the applicant feels like if they put the 2 parking spaces off the alley in the back, it would never be utilized. Everybody wants to park in the front. They want to get out of their car and walk in the house. And that's really why they're asking for the variance. In this case, it was a result of an action by the applicant, but it was a misunderstanding. They would have known right from the beginning if they would have been the ones to come in and get the building permit. They believe there's an unnecessary hardship in that the front porch placement is to the side of the front door, and they don't even have room to enlarge an area between the side property line and that front porch area in order to put 2 spaces there. The minimum action needed, staff believes there are other options, and we are going to bring forth one as our recommendation. The staff also believes that if we granted the 0 placement without having a backup situation, that would be setting a dangerous precedent. However, in this case, taking a look at all of the overlaying circumstances, staff does believe that the zoning code intent can be met. So staff is recommending approval of the variance to the zoning of 511, and to allow for 0 parking spaces as suggested. But we are suggesting one condition, and that condition would be that the applicant must pave a driveway from the street to the front of the home where the garage used to be, which will accommodate 2 cars provided on that driveway and will meet the intent of the zoning code. Are there any questions?
Is there any questions from the board?
Sherry, please unshare your screen. Ray, I have one question. Is the applicant available? Oh, okay, Ashley's in here. I see her now.
Ashley's there.
Stephanie, do I see you raising your hand?
Yeah, I wanted to see if they could go back to some of the pictures. Do you have a drawing of any type as to where that driveway is going to sit on the property?
There is a curb cut, existing curb cut where they have been utilizing parking in the past. And if I could take just a second to get back there. Looking at the pictures that I took, well, that didn't work, did it? If you look at this area right here, that's right in front of the curb cut. They could put the driveway right there all the way up to the front of the garage, and that will more than accommodate the space of 2 cars.
Is there any ordinance that says you have to provide some type of walking path from the driveway to the porch? Or are they still gonna be going through all the mud and the dirt and everything?
There is, to the best of my knowledge, no ordinance that does require that. But I think once they get in there and mow this area and take a look at it, the porch actually ends right here. So they're going to be maybe 4 feet from the beginning of that porch.
Where are they parking now? I guess out in the street?
There's nobody in the home now, I don't believe,
Okay.
because they're not quite finished with the remodeling because they were issued a stop work order.
Looks like the old driveway was the old ribbon strip type of driveways they used to use. Is that what I'm seeing there?
Yeah, it's part of it. It's deteriorated over the years and just gotten bigger and more broken down.
Sherry, if you'll go to the page before that where the aerial is, you can kind of see, to Gary's point, to Stephanie's, you can see a little bit of a sidewalk, and to Gary's, you can see the kind of ribbon strips in there. It just doesn't look like it connected to the curb for some reason. So
It didn't.
staff is requiring them to connect from the house to the curb so that they can still do, the concrete strips if they're applicable in the situation, but we have to have some sort of paved parking so that we're not parking in the dirt.
That was my next question. They can do the ribbon strips, concrete.
Yes, sir. We've allowed it in certain situations. A lot of the older ribbon strips, though, were too narrow. The concrete was too narrow, and the space in between the two concrete strips was too narrow for today's cars. So a lot of times what we see is they'll put, number one, they'll widen the strips if they go to redo anything, and they'll put almost like a rock or something in between the two, just because the newer vehicles have a little bit wider base, especially the trucks and stuff.
May I make a motion?
Any more questions from the board? If not, let's hear a motion.
I'd like to move that we approve it as presented with the conditions by city staff.
Motion on the table. Do I hear a second?
And
Hear a second.
did we do public comment, Hillary?
I'm sorry, I missed that one. Let's
What?
back up and do we have any public comment? Is the proponent here?
Yeah, Ashley's here. Ashley, if you'd like to say anything, please let them know.
Not really. I think that you guys pretty much summarized everything, and I think you're more than content with creating a paved drive area from the house where the existing garage was.
I can't hear her.
We can't hear her either.
Ashley, can you scoot a little closer, maybe?
Sure. See if this will work. I was just saying, I think that the suggestion and the requirement of paving an area from the previously existing garage all the way to the street is completely what we were hoping for, given the circumstances and the unforeseen issues with our subcontractors and kind of where we are with things. So.
Any questions for Ashley? There being no questions, do we need to remake the motion? Restate it?
No, I think the motion's still on the table. That's fine.
Still on the table? Okay.
Yeah.
Do I need to reread it? Do I need to restate it, or just did we go to the vote?
Could I ask who made the second? I'm sorry.
I did.
Jason.
Jason?
Mhm. So a motion to approve as presented by staff was David's motion, I believe.
Okay. Let's go to the vote. All in favor, say aye and raise their hand. Aye. Any opposed? No opposed. It passes 7-0. Next item. I'm trying to agenda. There it is. Do we have the item number 5 is division report. Do we have the division report?
I do not have anything to report to the ZBA today. we may not have a case this coming month, and we're still trying to figure out, once June hits, will we have digital meetings or will we have in-person meetings? So please be aware that the meeting is tentatively scheduled for June 1st, but we will keep in touch with you as we go along to figure out, will it be in person or digital?
Okay, that read into item number 6 on the next meeting agenda. Any board members have any questions? So have a motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any nays? Ayes pass. Thank you.
Thank you.